With my pleasure, introduce Axel Pawlik, the RIPE NCC Executive Director.
Thank you. Good morning. Morning, people. Nice to see so many of you, and happy to be in Kazan as well. So, Kavi gave you a bit of an update on services. I want to step a little bit back and do the higher level organizational review about your service organization, your secretariat. So, you have heard about this probably before. We see ourselves as the secretariat for the whole RIPE community through all our service region, including members, including the wider community as well. Of course, the whole thing started with somebody who needed to maintain the RIPE database. We have emerged then into becoming one of the 5 regional internet registries. All of them allocate internet numbers. We are serving up the Middle Eastern parts of Central Asia. It's 76 countries currently. What we do, apart from a number allocation and running RIPE meetings and helping with ENOG meetings here and others, is outreach to obviously the community, but also to regulators, to governments within our service region. Kavi has given you an overview of our tools, measurements. We do quite a bit of training, and any other things that you want us to do, really. So in terms of setup, we are independent. We are funded by our members. We are not for profit, and the whole thing is very much bottom up. We do what our members tell us. We listen to the community, and that's how it goes. Anyone can become a member, really. Most of our members are ISPs or other organizations with an interest in internet numbering or the internet in general. Being an incorporated organization, we have to have a formal seat of the organization. That's in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and of course then we are governed by Dutch law. Like I said, we are fully funded by members. We do what our members do, and we don't have any strings attached to other outside organizations. We can do as our membership tells us to. We pride ourselves, and that's a bit of the mantra, to be open, transparent, neutral, and impartial. Obviously, in giving out numbers, we want to treat every our members the same way, under the same policies, and openness, transparency. I think it is important in terms of trust building, and I believe, even if I say so myself, that we have been somewhat successful on that. But that doesn't mean that we stop. We need to continue this and I'll come back to that. So offices, we have the big offices in Amsterdam. We have small offices in Dubai and Moscow. Roughly, I think, a little bit more than 130 staff members by now. Lots of part-time people there as well. So membership growth, you hear that if you look at the policy discussion list, there's quite a bit of discussion about that currently. Membership growth is rather rapid, and you see a certain uptake in the last couple of years there. We are probably going to hit the 12,000 this year. We do see a very similar trend in APNIC as well, and we follow, of course, how it's going with the other regional internet registries, and we do see that some of that growth is coming from IPv4 exhaustion and the last /8 policy, and many people don't get addresses from the upstreams anymore. They're being told to go to the RIPE NCC and become members themselves, which is fine, of course. So looking at the annual report from last year, some of the highlights, obviously lots of growth there already. We have seen a lot of members, a lot of folks from the community throughout the various meetings that we are running, through our training and the like. So more than 2,500, that is quite a nice number. The training courses, 112 training courses we did over the course of last year, with 2,290 members being met there and helped. Lots of IPv4 allocations from the last /8, and also quite a lot of IPv6 allocations now. Obviously, that's part of it. 23% of our members had their resources certified in the RPKI system. That was nice already. more than 7,500 Atlas probes, and of course, Kavi has given you the actual numbers there. RIPE-STAT proves to be exceedingly popular. That's quite some surprise, positive surprise maybe for ourselves. And in customer services, we've seen more than 30,000 requests. That's quite a number. IPv6 and membership, you see that the number of members without IPv6 is decreasing, which is a very good thing, of course, and that members with IPv6 go up and to the right. So still, there's quite a lot of things to be done. And you look at your own region here, Russia with nearly 13% is not bad, but the overall RIPE region is quite a bit higher. It's also only 22%, so we still need to work on this altogether. IPv4 transfers are rising. That's no surprise at all. We saw that coming. Running out of IPv4 says points out that if you need addresses, you need significant amounts of addresses. You need to find them somewhere, and of course there are quite a number of brokers out there. You occasionally see in the news that this or the other organization is selling larger amounts. So there's quite some active market there. And again, the main priority of the RIPE NCC is to know about transfers, to be able to keep the registry up to date and correct, and that's also one of the reasons we keep the threshold for those transfers as low as possible. We don't have any interest in money changing hands. We just want to know about it for the registry. Right, financial overview. Having said we are a not-for-profit, that doesn't mean that we have a surplus occasionally, or regularly actually. We try very hard to match our forecast to our understanding of the community and the budget. We try to run for a black zero every year, but sometimes we fail miserable. So last year we had 3.4 million as a net result in terms of surplus. The good thing about this is that we have a good deal with the Dutch tax authorities. We can keep that money tax-free, put it into the reserves for the stability of the organization, which is very nice. The reserves at the end of the year were 25 million, all in euros, obviously. Operational expenses were a bit lower than budgeted, so we try to be precise, but sometimes we don't quite make it there. Staff numbers, like I said, 137 FTEs, a little bit over budget at that time. Important is, and I get my marching orders from my board, the cost per member should be falling, and it was lower again than 2013. What we're doing this year, strong registry, like I said, the registry is of utmost importance. We live and die with the correctness of the registry, so that's very high on our agenda. Outreach, not only to you, but also to your governments, your regulators. Law enforcement is important. So throughout our service region, we try to spread ourselves and go pretty much through all of our service region. Services need to be efficient and more efficient, and we want to consolidate our offerings. We have done that, I think, quite a bit already, and that's one of those things that always continue. It's never quite done. Improvement is always possible. External and internal processes, efficiency, I mentioned that's important, and we do see quite some results there. When we look at the membership growth over the last 2 years, we have been fairly stable budget-wise and workforce-wise over the last 2 years. So that points to better efficiency there as well. Further focus. So many things are going on. There is, we heard about the Diana stewardship transition. There is the, last year we had the Net Mundial meeting in Brazil. Then every year we have an Internet Governance Forum. We have regional Internet Governance Fora as well. And we find it very important. We've heard from you as well that you find it important that we put our attention into our service region and don't go around the world to all sorts of other meetings. It's important that we listen to you, focus on our service region. With that comes greater presence, and I think if you look at our website where we have been going over the last couple of months and 2 years, We try to spread ourselves out also beyond the RIPE meetings, beyond the ENOGs and the MENOGs into smaller meetings, down to membership lunches. When we go to a training to a particular country or city, we go and invite some members for a lunch and just see some more of the faces. That's important. The reason why we do this, of course, is not that you see us, but also that we understand better what you want from us. That is needed in a membership of as an organization, obviously. So we understand, and we have grown in understanding there that feedback from the members is important for our success, and so we have been doing larger scale membership surveys, or community surveys, not only for members. The last big one was in 2013, and there's a couple of, quite a number of actions came out of that, and we reported on that. Quite a lot of things, service improvements, better accessibility, more involvement with academic community. We are quite happy about that. Relationships with governments and law enforcement is getting better as well. E-learning, training is very popular, but we can't do a gazillion training courses. We have to keep it a little bit in shape there. So we have done e-learning. The RIPE Academy is out there now. Languages, always important, so we are now also sending out summaries of what's going on the mailing list in the policy world in Russian and Arabic. It's a small step, and also it's also a difficult thing always to see 76 countries, so many different languages. Which languages do we pick? So we are working on that. And when I hear that you are talking about this yesterday in the BOF, what documents you need translated and stuff like that, that's very helpful. And of course we rely on your support there as well. So we've done a smaller scale consultation at the end of last year and beginning of this year, basically checking against what we have been doing. Is that seen? Is that helpful? Should we change this? Are we on the right track, basically? And we got fairly positive results, but basically also you telling us to continue on the way. Transparency, accountability is something that we always thought we are not really bad in, but it could be improved, and we have improved it, and of course we will continue on that. Value for money for members, yes, you pay yearly fees, and you need to be happy with what you get for that, obviously. So this is important. We think that we have this feedback process under control quite nicely. We get something from that, and we hear that you see that similarly. So we are preparing for a bigger scale, fuller survey again for about mid-year next year. So you see that coming. When you see it in your mailboxes, please take a look at it and help us by filling that in. It's always important to get as much feedback on those things as possible. But of course, that's the surveys, and we also try to be careful not to send out too many of those. You have ample opportunities to talk to us in all sorts of fora, in the meetings, at the general meetings, at the RIPE meetings, by email, call us, you know where we are. RIPE NCC organized meetings we have on the list, member lunches, training courses, I mentioned that before. We do now, and that tends to be rather popular, the assisted registry good morning, the assisted registry checks, ARC. Basically, us showing you as our members what information we have on you, on your address holdings, and requesting you to update that where that is necessary. And we didn't know it would be that popular, so happy with that. And of course, we have to continue those on a larger scale. But other things, mailing list, I mentioned that, social media, just talk to us. That's very helpful for us, but also for you, I think. Website redesign, I think we just heard a bit about that. I won't go into much details. It was time again. Better functionality, fresher looks. Well, fresher looks is always so low on the priority, but at some point I want to see something. But I'm always a little bit skeptical about that type of thing, and I took a couple of weeks to get used to it, but I think I get things much easier now than I did before. Well, trust me on that. Now, we had a RIPE meeting a couple of weeks ago in Amsterdam. During the RIPE meetings, we also have RIPE NCC general meetings for our members, so that's the formal part of our membership relations. The charging scheme for 2016 was adopted a little bit early in this year, but we have heard from our members it would be good if we would do this earlier, better than in the end of the year, so that you can all work on your budgets for the next year and factor that in. So good thing is, again, 200 euros less than for this year will be next year. And again, that's one of the things that we try to balance our budget against membership growth, against the real world developments, and we hope to be making it nicely there. Also, we had board elections. We always have those in the May meeting. We have expanded the board a little bit, and now it's in its full size. And Janos and Dima have been re-elected. We proposed also, or the board proposed, based on discussions with the community, on the mailing list and face-to-face, proposed a possibility for a 50% charge for AS numbers, and that was not too popular, was not accepted. But again, it's your association, you run this, or you direct my board, you direct me how to run it, and then we do that in good faith. But it is important that you participate. It's important that you come to those meetings if you can, or that you participate remotely. We have now for a couple of years done remote participation for the webcasting for the general meetings as well, and electronic voting, and we have on request stretched out the time that is available for online voting, so that we can cover the whole service area, which is rather wide, through many time zones, and it has actually brought good effects. We have more participation, more votes being cast than before, and you see that Russia is doing quite well there. But of course, it's always a bit of a competition, and I see the Germans are doing even better. So I hope that the next voting round, I see a darker red there from this area. But well, that's what it is. That's my presentation for this morning. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. And on the other hand, I'll be here for the rest of the day as well, whenever, however. Thank you.
Thank you, Axel. Есть ли вопросы из зала?
Do we have questions from the hall?
Is everybody too tired?
Hit me over a coffee, that's fine.
Okay. Thanks, Axel,
Thank you.
again. I guess we are done.